Introduction: The theft you don't see. The world doesn't steal your time. It steals your attention. Quietly, constantly, without warning or permission. Every scroll, every notification, every meaningless debate isn't just distraction. It's invasion. You think you're choosing how to spend your day, but most days your day is choosing you. Your focus, the most valuable currency you own, is being drained one click, one comment, one glance at a glowing screen at a time. This isn't about technology, it's about temptation. You live in a world that rewards noise and punishes stillness. You're surrounded by voices shouting for your reaction, your outrage, your energy. The world doesn't want your peace, it wants your participation. Every second you give to it, you take from yourself. Every distraction you indulge is a small betrayal of your own potential. You wake up with purpose, but by noon you're buried under noise. Half thoughts, half efforts, half presence. You tell yourself you're busy, but busyness is the perfect disguise for avoidance. You scroll not because you care, but because you're afraid of stillness. Stillness exposes you. It shows you how far you've drifted from what matters. It reminds you that focus hurts before it heals. The truth is, focus has become rebellion. In an age where attention is currency, choosing silence makes you dangerous. Because when you stop reacting, you stop being controlled. The world doesn't fear your distractions. It depends on them. It thrives on your divided mind, your restless scrolling, your need to be seen. But when you reclaim your focus, you starve the system that feeds on your attention. You take back power that most people will never realize they lost. You used to think the enemy was failure, but it's not. The real enemy is diffusion, being pulled in 100 directions and mastering none. The people who win in this world aren't the ones with the most talent. They're the ones who protect their focus like it's gold. They know the truth. Energy without direction is wasted motion. Effort without attention is erosion. You can be busy and still go nowhere. You can move all day and make no progress. You can't become great while living distracted. Greatness is focus multiplied by time. It's what happens when you give one thing everything, but that requires sacrifice. The willingness to cut away what doesn't serve you. Most people never reach mastery because they fear boredom. They crave stimulation, not progress. They chase everything that sparkles, forgetting that diamonds are made in darkness and pressure, not noise and motion. Look around. Everyone is fighting to be heard, but no one is fighting to listen. Everyone wants to go viral, but no one wants to go deep. The crowd is addicted to the surface. Quick hits of validation, short bursts of meaning, but the surface will never satisfy the soul. The deeper truth lives in the quiet, the space between distractions where clarity breathes. That's where you find yourself again. Protecting your focus begins with understanding its value. You treat what you treasure differently. You don't leave gold unattended. You don't lend it freely. You guard it. You invest it. You multiply it. Your attention deserves the same care, because everything you feed it grows. Your fears, your dreams, your doubts, your goals. If you constantly feed noise, you'll live in confusion. But if you feed clarity, your life becomes unstoppable direction. The challenge is this. You've been trained to believe that constant access equals connection, that being reachable equals being relevant. But the truth is the opposite. The more accessible you are, the less control you have. Every ping fragments your peace. Every reply erodes your rhythm. True focus demands boundaries, walls high enough to keep out the noise, but low enough to let in wisdom. Focus is not about intensity, it's about intimacy. It's the relationship you build with your purpose. You have to court it, protect it, and keep it close. It won't fight for your attention. You must fight for its presence. Focus is not loud, it's loyal. And once you learn to honor it, everything else aligns. But here's the hard truth. You can't protect what you don't prioritize. Most people protect their money more fiercely than their mind. They guard their phones with passwords but leave their thoughts unprotected, open to every opinion, every piece of propaganda, every distraction disguised as opportunity. You think you're making choices, but most of your choices are reactions. The moment you start protecting your focus is the moment you start designing your life instead of drifting through it. You need to start asking yourself, who gets access to my attention? What deserves my energy today? What will I ignore for the sake of what matters most? Because everything costs you something. Every yes steals time from something sacred. Every unnecessary engagement robs you of presence. You can't buy back what distraction wastes. Once your focus is gone, your day is gone. Once your day is gone, your direction follows. So build a fortress around your focus. Turn off the noise. Choose silence over stimulation, depth over distraction, clarity over comfort. Because what you protect defines what you become. You are not obligated to attend every argument, every trend, every trivial update. Your power comes from restraint, from saying no to what doesn't matter so you can say yes to what does. There will always be noise. The world won't stop calling your name, trying to pull you into the chaos. But your discipline must be louder than their demand. Your mission must outweigh their momentum. Every moment you choose focus, you are declaring, my mind is mine. You're not fighting distraction, you're defending destiny. So before you lose another hour, another day, another piece of yourself to noise, remember this. Focus is not just how you achieve, it's how you become. It's how you build peace in a world addicted to chaos. And if you lose it, you lose everything. Clarity, identity, direction, power. Because in the end, the truth is simple. You don't lose focus all at once. You give it away piece by piece, protect it, guard it, defend it. Because if you lose focus, you lose yourself. Chapter 1. The Silent Enemy. How Modern Life Destroys Attention. You live in an empire built on distraction. Every sound, every vibration, every notification is designed to fracture your mind. It doesn't just steal your time. It reprograms your brain to crave interruption. What was once rare, your attention, has become the most traded commodity on earth. They don't want your money first. They want your focus. Because if they can own that, they can own everything else that follows. The silent enemy doesn't attack loudly. It whispers through convenience. It sells you connection and feeds you comparison. It promises entertainment and gives you emptiness. The platforms you scroll, the news you read, the feeds you refresh, they're not products. They're predators. You are not the customer. You are the currency. Every moment you give them is sold to someone else. And every time you check back, you're reminded that distraction isn't a glitch. It's the goal. Modern life is engineered to destroy depth, to keep you busy but never fulfilled, to make you feel informed but never enlightened, to leave you exhausted but not evolved. The goal isn't to make you think, it's to make you react. because a reactive mind is a predictable one, and predictability is profit. Every swipe, every scroll, every spark of dopamine is data they study, refine, and weaponize against your discipline. You wake up and reach for your phone before you reach for your thoughts. That's not coincidence. That's conditioning. Your focus has been rewired for consumption, not creation. The world doesn't need you aware. It needs you addicted. The system runs on your distraction, and it disguises its chains as choices. You think you're choosing what to watch, what to follow, what to click, but those choices were already made for you. Algorithms don't reflect your interests, they shape them. They feed you just enough stimulation to keep you engaged, and just enough outrage to keep you returning. You are not scrolling, you're being scrolled. Every flick of your thumb tightens the leash. This is the new battlefield, your attention. Wars used to be fought for land, oil, or gold. Now they're fought for minutes, for the tiny windows between your thoughts. Because whoever controls those windows controls your mind. And once they own your mind, they own your behavior, your beliefs, your sense of reality. But the cost is deeper than wasted time. It's the erosion of your ability to be still. Stillness has become almost unbearable. Silence feels like suffocation. You've been trained to fear boredom, to seek stimulation in every gap. You fill silence with sound, pauses with scrolling, loneliness with noise. But what you call connection is often isolation disguised as entertainment. Every notification you answer weakens your control. Every impulse you obey teaches your brain that discipline is optional. You don't realize how much power you've surrendered until you try to take it back. Sit in silence for 5 minutes and you'll feel it. The itch, the urge, the pull. That's not boredom, that's withdrawal. You've been feeding your mind on fragments so long that wholeness feels foreign. This is how focus dies, not in an explosion, but in a series of small concessions. Just one more check. Just 5 more minutes. I'll start after this video. But you never start because the loop never ends. The system doesn't need to control you directly. It just needs to keep you distracted long enough to forget what you were supposed to do. And while you're distracted, life moves. Opportunities pass. Ideas decay. Dreams rot under the weight of constant stimulation. The saddest truth is that most people will never know what they could have become because they were too busy reacting to what everyone else became. You weren't born distracted. You were born present. You could stare at a single object and wonder. You could focus on a sound, a moment, a person, fully. That's your natural state. But the world has turned your biology against you. The same dopamine that once rewarded survival now rewards scrolling. Every swipe tells your brain, you're doing something important, but you're not. You're just chasing phantom progress, fast rewards that leave you empty. The tragedy is that distraction feels productive. You think you're learning, connecting, exploring, but what you're really doing is diluting. The more you consume, the less you create. The more you react, the less you reflect. You're not tired because you've done too much. You're tired because you've thought too little. Your mind isn't fatigued from effort. It's fatigued from fragmentation. And this is what the silent enemy counts on, that you won't notice, that you'll normalize it, that you'll confuse movement with meaning. The world will praise your busyness, applaud your multitasking, and call it success. But they won't tell you that divided attention is diluted power. You can't live fully while being half present. This is the hidden cost of the modern age. Focus has become a luxury. You have to fight for what used to be free. You have to build systems to protect what was once natural. Every day is a tug of war between what matters and what distracts. And the truth is, the distractions will always win unless you learn to recognize them as the enemy they are. So ask yourself, who benefits from your distraction? Who profits from your impulses? Who gets rich while you get restless? Every time you take the bait of a notification, someone gets paid. Every time you lose an hour to the feed, someone gains influence. This isn't paranoia, it's economics. You are the product and your focus is the price tag. But here's where it changes. Awareness breaks control. The moment you see the manipulation, it starts to lose its power. You start noticing the patterns, the endless loop of dopamine hits, the clickbait headlines engineered for outrage, the constant hum of anxiety disguised as information. Once you see the system, you can step outside it. Focus becomes rebellion. Attention becomes armor. Every time you put down the phone, every time you choose silence over noise, you're not withdrawing from the world, you're reclaiming it. The system doesn't expect you to resist, it expects you to comply. So when you stop feeding it, it starves. The first step to freedom isn't productivity, it's presence. To take back control, you must first confront how much you've lost. The minutes, the thoughts, the ideas that could have changed your life, all buried under someone else's agenda. That realization should hurt. It should burn, because it's supposed to. Pain is awareness coming alive, but awareness is power. Once you know you're being used, you can stop being useful to the wrong things. You can build boundaries around your attention like walls around a fortress. You can choose your inputs the way you choose your influences. You can curate silence. And when you do, you'll feel something you haven't felt in years. Clarity. Not the rush of constant consumption, but the calm of consciousness. You'll see that focus was never lost, it was stolen. And like anything stolen, it can be taken back. So pause. Look around. Listen to the noise of the world fighting for you. Then listen deeper to the silence that's been waiting underneath it. That's your mind asking to return home. That's your power calling your name. The first act of strength is noticing who's using your attention. Chapter 2. Attention is power. Why the focused win. There is one skill that separates the masters from the mediocre. The ability to focus. Not the kind of shallow concentration that lasts until the next distraction, but deep, deliberate, unwavering attention. Every empire, every innovation, every legend was built by someone who could give their mind to one thing completely. Focus is the great equalizer. It doesn't care where you start, only that you stay. You've already learned how the world steals your attention. Now you learn why it fights so hard for it. Because attention is power. The person who controls attention controls emotion. The person who controls emotion controls behavior. And the person who controls behavior controls the world. That's why every system competes for your focus. That's why they flood your mind with noise. Because if you're always reacting, you're never creating. Focus is energy directed with precision. Imagine a laser. It doesn't burn because it's bright. It burns because it's concentrated. Scatter that same light, and it becomes harmless. The human mind works the same way. When your attention is scattered across 100 things, your power dilutes. But when you bring it to one point, When every thought, breath, and movement aligns, you become unstoppable. You don't just move through life, you cut through it. The difference between winning and wandering isn't talent, it's target. Most people drift through life, half committed to everything, fully invested in nothing. They mistake motion for momentum, mistaking busyness for progress. But the focused, they know what matters. They've trained their attention like an archer trains their aim. Steady hands, quiet breath, clear vision. The world is chaos around them, but their eyes never move. Every success story begins with a singular obsession. The athlete doesn't train by chance. The artist doesn't create by convenience. The entrepreneur doesn't build by accident. They all learn the same truth. What you give your attention to grows. Your focus is the sun, and your goals are seeds. The stronger your focus, the faster they bloom. Scatter your light, and nothing grows deep enough to last. But the problem is, people don't protect their focus because they underestimate it. They think it's just another resource. It's not. It's the foundation of everything else. Your habits, your emotions, your results. Without focus, even effort becomes chaos. You can work all day and accomplish nothing if your energy isn't directed. Focus turns effort into impact. It transforms chaos into order. It's not what you do, it's how deeply you do it that changes your life. Look at the world's greatest performers, athletes, scientists, creators, leaders. What separates them isn't time, it's intensity. Everyone gets the same 24 hours, but the focused experience time differently. 1 hour of undivided attention is worth 10 hours of distraction. The focused compress years into months, decades into days. Because when you give something your full presence, you move faster, think sharper, and live deeper. You don't need more time, you need more focus. Time is neutral until attention gives it value. Two people can spend the same hour completely differently, one in mastery, the other in mindless drift. One builds legacy, the other builds nothing. That's the quiet truth most never face. Your life isn't determined by how much time you have, but by how much attention you give to what truly matters. The focused win because they understand that every yes is a no to something else. They choose carefully. They treat their attention like gold, limited, valuable, irreplaceable. They don't chase every opportunity. They refine until only the essential remains. That's not limitation. It's liberation. Because once you know what deserves your attention, everything else loses power over you. Focus is also a form of emotional strength. It's the ability to stay steady while others panic. It's the calm that cuts through chaos. When everything screams for reaction, the focused person stays deliberate. They move slow to move fast. They pause before they act. They respond instead of react. That's power, the power of self-direction in a world addicted to impulse. But here's the truth few will tell you. Focus isn't given, it's trained. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through resistance. The first time you sit in silence, it will hurt. The first time you try to work without checking your phone, it will itch. That's not weakness, it's withdrawal. You're breaking an addiction, and every time you push through it, you strengthen the signal between your mind and your mission. You have to treat your attention like a warrior treats their weapon. Sharpen it daily, protect it fiercely, because a dull weapon is dangerous, not to others, but to yourself. A scattered mind makes poor decisions, takes wrong turns, and wastes strength on battles that don't matter. Focus turns life from reaction to precision. It's the art of striking the right target with the right force at the right time. Think of focus as alignment, the inner synchronization between thought and action. When you focus deeply, you stop leaking energy into worry, regret, or distraction. You stop fighting 100 small wars and win one big one. You channel everything you are into everything you do. That's what mastery feels like, unity. Every part of you, mind, body, will, moving in one direction. There's peace in that kind of purpose. Chaos disappears. Doubt fades. You stop asking, what if, and start asking, what's next? You don't waste time comparing yourself to others because your eyes are locked forward. The focus don't compete. They create. They don't chase success. They attract it by becoming so precise that the world can't ignore them. But focus isn't just about achievement. It's about identity. What you give attention to, you become. Spend your days reacting to noise, and you'll become noise. Spend them building something meaningful, and you'll become meaning itself. Every scroll, every distraction, every impulsive shift is shaping who you are becoming. You're not just losing time, you're losing definition. Focus gives you back your edges. You want to stand out in this world? Don't shout louder, see clearer. While everyone else drowns in distraction, you stay silent and strategic. You build what others only talk about, because attention, once mastered, becomes influence, and influence begins within. When you can command your own focus, you can command the world's. People follow those who move with clarity. They trust those who don't flinch. But make no mistake, focus will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you convenience. It will cost you the illusion of connection. But what you gain is worth everything. You gain peace. You gain presence. You gain the quiet power of knowing that your life is moving in the direction you chose, not the one the world chose for you. So take inventory of your focus. Where is it leaking? Who's using it without your permission? What's consuming your energy but feeding you nothing in return? Audit your attention the way you would audit your finances, because one day you'll realize focus is wealth, and while others spent theirs on noise, you'll have invested yours in greatness. Focus is more than a skill, it's a signal. It tells the universe you're ready, ready to commit, ready to create, ready to carry weight without collapse. The moment you choose focus over distraction, you shift from victim to architect, from consumer to creator. You stop reacting to life and start writing it. The focused win not because they have fewer obstacles, but because they've chosen fewer distractions. They understand that attention is the lever that moves the world. And once you learn to pull that lever with precision, nothing can stop the movement you create. So guard your focus like it's gold, because it is. It's the rarest currency left in a world starving for attention. And when you learn to master it, you no longer chase power, you become it. Chapter 3. The Discipline of Elimination. Simplify or stay stuck. Success isn't built by what you add. It's built by what you remove. You don't rise by collecting more. You rise by cutting away. The disciplined life is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters and refusing what doesn't. This is where most people fail. They think more is progress, more goals, more noise, more motion. But progress is subtraction. Clarity is carved, not found. Your focus can't survive in excess. You can't hold everything and still move forward. Every distraction, every unnecessary task, Every emotional attachment to things that don't serve you, they all add weight. You're not stuck because you lack ambition. You're stuck because you're overloaded. You've mistaken activity for achievement. The truth is brutal but freeing. If you don't start subtracting, you'll stay suffocating under your own clutter. Look around your life, the habits you keep, the people you entertain, the thoughts you repeat. How much of it aligns with who you say you want to become? Most of it doesn't. Most of it's noise disguised as necessity. You don't need more time, you need fewer distractions. You don't need more motivation, you need less mental debris. You don't need to do more, you need to delete more. The discipline of elimination begins with honesty. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that's holding me back? Because everything you carry costs something: energy, peace, progress. You can't build speed while dragging weight. You can't find focus while surrounded by noise. The mind, like a blade, only sharpens through resistance. And that resistance is often saying no when everything in you wants to say yes. Saying yes is easy. It feeds your ego. It makes you feel busy, important, involved. But saying no, that takes strength. It creates space, and space is terrifying. Space reveals the truth. When you stop filling your life with distractions, you're left with yourself, your thoughts, your fears, your unfinished work. That's why people drown themselves in more. More is protection from seeing what's real. But greatness lives in the empty spaces. Silence isn't absence. It's precision. It's the clarity that comes when you strip away what doesn't serve you. Every master understands this. The painter's art isn't in every stroke. It's in the strokes they didn't take. The sculptor's genius is not in what they add to the marble, but in what they remove. The same is true for your life. Minimalism isn't aesthetic, it's strategy. It's cutting through clutter until only essentials remain. It's choosing your priorities so carefully that everything else becomes noise. When you focus on everything, you master nothing. But when you eliminate the unnecessary, what's left becomes unstoppable. Simplicity isn't smallness, it's concentration. And concentration creates strength. Every wasted commitment drains energy from your purpose. Every maybe poisons your clarity. Elimination demands courage. The courage to disappoint others before you disappoint yourself. You will be misunderstood. You will be called cold, distant, ruthless. But that's the cost of clarity. You cannot live fully if you're living for everyone. You can't be everything and still be excellent. The disciplined life begins with one decision: to stop negotiating with distraction. It means creating friction for what doesn't matter and flow for what does. It's about protecting your boundaries like sacred ground. You wake up with energy for what deserves it and refuse to feed what doesn't. You stop explaining why you're unavailable to mediocrity. You start scheduling silence like an appointment with your future. You must learn to cut deeply, decisively, and without guilt. Because every cut you make frees focus. Every refusal builds room for creation. It's not selfish to say no. It's strategic. You can't pour into what's meaningful if you're leaking energy everywhere else. The people who seem calm under chaos aren't special. They've simply chosen less. They've eliminated friction before it started. Here's the paradox. Simplicity looks quiet, but it's loud in results. The person who does a few things with full force always outlasts the one doing everything halfway. You don't need to conquer the world. You need to conquer your attention. That starts with the discipline to cut ruthlessly. Simplify your goals until they're sharp enough to pierce through noise. Think of your life as a garden. You can't plant every seed. If you try, nothing grows strong. Some roots choke others. Elimination is pruning, the art of removal that creates growth. You don't cut because you don't care. You cut because you do. You cut so what remains can thrive. Every time you say no, you water what matters. But this discipline isn't just external, it's internal. It's emotional elimination too. You have to stop giving mental rent to things that drain you: grudges, guilt, unnecessary comparison. These are the weeds in your mind. You can't think clearly while entertaining old wounds. Emotional clutter is the heaviest kind because you carry it everywhere. Freedom starts when you stop feeding what hurts you. Simplify your inputs, curate what you consume, protect what you allow into your mind. Every piece of information you ingest becomes part of your identity. If your thoughts are junk, your actions will be too. You can't build a powerful mind from polluted inputs. Choose fewer voices, stronger principles, quieter environments. Build your mental environment the way you design a temple: sacred, deliberate, intentional. There's peace in precision. When you know what you value, the world can't confuse you. You stop chasing opportunities that aren't aligned. You stop saying yes out of fear. You stop mistaking movement for meaning. That's the moment your focus transforms from fragile to fierce. The noise still exists, but it no longer enters. You must learn to eliminate even the good to protect the great. Because the greatest enemy of focus isn't failure. It's distraction disguised as opportunity. Some distractions come dressed as progress: new projects, new goals, new collaborations. But if it doesn't serve your main mission, it's not progress, it's deviation. Every choice that divides your attention delays your destiny. To simplify is to lead. Every great leader, thinker, and creator has mastered the art of less. They knew that every yes dilutes energy and every no concentrates it. They didn't chase trends, they built legacies. And legacies are built by subtraction, not addition. When your purpose becomes clear, your calendar must shrink. It's time to declutter your existence. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Clean your space. Simplify your digital life. Delete what drains you. Unsubscribe from what distracts you. Unfollow what distorts your focus. You don't need to keep up with everything. You need to keep aligned with yourself. A clean environment creates a clear mind, and a clear mind creates unstoppable focus. But understand, elimination is not about less for the sake of less. It's about less for the sake of depth. You're trading quantity for quality, noise for nuance, chaos for clarity. The more you remove, the deeper you go. The deeper you go, the greater your results, because true discipline is not in addition, it's in reduction. At first, simplicity feels like sacrifice. You'll miss the stimulation, the chaos, the sense of doing it all. But soon you'll see that simplicity isn't loss, it's liberation. Every unnecessary weight you drop reveals how fast you can move. Every refusal reclaims a piece of your freedom. This is the paradox of mastery. To gain everything, you must give up most things. To move forward, you must let go. To see clearly, you must close your eyes to the noise. You don't find clarity, you create it. You carve it from chaos through conscious refusal. So simplify. Cut the clutter. Guard your energy. Protect your focus. because what you remove defines you more than what you add. The world will always beg for your attention, but mastery begins with the word no. Simplify or stay stuck. That's the choice. That's the discipline. That's the difference between drifting through life and directing it. Chapter 4. The Battle for Presence. Reclaiming the Moment. You've mastered control over distraction. You've learned to eliminate what doesn't serve you. But now the battle moves inward, to the one war most people never win, the war against absence. Because the truth is, distraction doesn't just steal your focus, it steals your presence. You can be sitting in a room, physically here, but mentally gone, trapped in the past, haunted by the future, detached from the only place life actually exists, now. Presence is power because it's the only thing that's real. Everything else, the regrets that replay in your head, the worries that whisper about tomorrow, they're illusions. You can't act in the past, and you can't change what hasn't happened yet. The only thing you can shape is this moment, this breath, this choice right here. The world trains you to live elsewhere. Your mind becomes a time traveler, endlessly bouncing between what was and what could be. But mastery begins when you learn to return to what is. The untrained mind is restless. It drifts constantly, running stories, chasing thoughts, answering impulses. Even in stillness, it wanders. You check your phone without realizing it. You think about the next task before finishing the current one. You live in fragments, and those fragments cost you everything: peace, depth, clarity, connection. You think you're living fast, but you're actually disappearing slowly. Every moment half-lived is a moment lost forever. You cannot focus if you cannot be present. Focus is not just attention, it's embodiment. It's the full alignment of your senses, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. When you're present, time slows down. The noise fades. You start seeing details others miss, hearing silence others can't, feeling life as it happens. Presence transforms the ordinary into the profound. You stop rushing through life and start realizing it. Presence doesn't happen by accident. It's a discipline. It's the decision to stop running from this moment and to meet it completely. It begins with awareness, the ability to notice when your mind drifts, because it will drift. That's what minds do. The goal isn't to eliminate thought. It's to notice it and return to now, again and again, until returning becomes your nature. Start with your breath. It's always here, always now. Breathe in, and you anchor yourself. Breathe out, and you release what doesn't serve you. The breath is the bridge between chaos and control. It's the body's reminder that presence isn't found in complexity, it's found in simplicity. Each inhale is a life entering. Each exhale is a peace returning. When you master the breath, you master the mind. Presence also means attention without resistance. You stop labeling things as good or bad, easy or hard, right or wrong. You just observe. You stop trying to control the moment and start experiencing it. That's the paradox of power. The more you try to force presence, the more you lose it. Presence doesn't need effort, it needs allowance. You have to let yourself be instead of constantly trying to become. Most people live in reaction. Something happens and they respond automatically. Their emotions hijack the moment before awareness arrives. They speak without thinking, move without meaning, decide without depth. That's not living. That's autopilot. Presence breaks that pattern. It creates the pause between stimulus and response. In that pause lives your power, the power to choose, to lead, to stay grounded while others spiral. When you're present, small things stop controlling you. The opinion that once hurt you, the problem that once consumed you, the noise that once distracted you, they lose their pull. You see them as passing clouds, not permanent storms. You start realizing that life is not happening to you. It's happening for you, moment by moment. You stop chasing the next thing and start mastering this thing. That shift changes everything. Presence is not passivity, it's precision. It's engaging fully in what you're doing while letting go of what you can't control. The athlete in the arena, the artist with the brush, the soldier in battle, they all operate from presence. They don't split their mind between fear and future. They lock into the moment completely. That's flow, the merging of effort and awareness, where time bends and everything feels connected. Presence is the foundation of flow, and flow is the rhythm of mastery. You can't be powerful if you're not present, because power requires awareness. You can't influence what you don't notice. You can't direct what you don't control. When you learn to stand fully in the now, you stop being a passenger and become a pilot. You start seeing that every moment gives you a choice: to drift or to direct, to react or to remain. The world will always pull your attention outward, but mastery is the ability to return inward, to where your strength actually lives. Stillness doesn't mean inactivity, it means stability. It's the calm beneath the storm, the still water beneath the waves. You can move fast but remain still inside. You can act with intensity but never lose inner silence. That's the secret of warriors, artists, thinkers. Their calm doesn't come from slowing down. It comes from anchoring deep. You can't be shaken when your roots are in presence. It's easy to talk about mindfulness. It's harder to practice it in motion. The real test comes when you're under pressure, when chaos hits, when emotions surge, when distractions tempt you. In those moments, you must train yourself to return to your breath, your body, your awareness, to stop even for a second and remind yourself, this is it. This is the only moment that matters, because if you can find presence under pressure, nothing can pull you away again. Presence also redefines success. It's no longer about how much you accomplish, but about how deeply you experience what you're doing. You stop living for milestones and start living for mastery. The work itself becomes the reward. The process becomes peace. You realize that focus isn't about controlling time. It's about dissolving into it. But presence requires humility. You must accept that you can't control everything. You can't predict outcomes or perfect every detail. All you can do is give this moment your best. The rest will unfold as it should. Presence frees you from the illusion of control and replaces it with the reality of awareness. When you stop trying to control every moment, you start owning every moment. Presence deepens connection too. When you're truly here, people feel it. Your attention becomes energy, direct, undivided, rare. In a world starved for real connection, presence is the highest form of respect. When you listen fully, when you engage without distraction, you remind others what real interaction feels like. And in return, your relationships grow richer, your influence deepens, your empathy expands. You'll begin to notice that presence changes how you move, how you speak, how you think. Your actions slow down, not in laziness, but in intentionality. You start doing one thing at a time and doing it well. Your mind stops racing ahead or lagging behind. Life starts to feel cleaner, simpler, deeper. You realize how much beauty you've been missing by living everywhere but here. But presence takes practice. It takes catching yourself mid-drift and gently bringing yourself back. It takes patience with your restless thoughts. It takes forgiveness for every time you forget. Because presence isn't perfection. It's persistence. The mind will wander again and again. The discipline is in the return. Every time you return to now, you're reclaiming your life piece by piece. Presence is freedom. It's the ability to experience life without the filter of fear or distraction. It's seeing clearly, acting intentionally, and resting completely. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that nothing is missing from this moment. The past is gone. The future will come. But right now, you are whole. The power you seek doesn't exist in the next goal, the next plan, or the next victory. It exists here, in this breath, in this choice, in this heartbeat. Life is not waiting for you to arrive somewhere. It's waiting for you to arrive here. Because when you reclaim the moment, you reclaim yourself. And when you reclaim yourself, you reclaim your power. Presence is the foundation of power. Chapter 5. The Cost of Chaos. What distraction steals from you? You think distraction costs you minutes. It doesn't. It costs you meaning. It steals your clarity, your peace, your growth. And the saddest part is that it does it quietly. You don't notice the loss until years have passed, until the opportunities are gone, until you look back and realize how much of yourself you gave to noise that never gave back. This is what chaos does. It convinces you that you're living while it slowly drains your life. Every moment spent divided, every time you drift into distraction, a piece of your potential disappears. You tell yourself it's harmless, that you'll focus later, that a few minutes won't matter. But those minutes compound. They stack. They accumulate. They harden into years. And suddenly you wake up and wonder where your fire went, when it faded, and why it's so hard to get back. You were born with fire. You had ideas, focus, hunger. But chaos crept in slowly. It didn't break down the door. It whispered. It disguised itself as rest, as relief, as just a quick check. It told you it was harmless. It told you that multitasking was productivity. It told you that you could have both, depth and distraction. But you can't. You cannot live divided and expect to build something whole. The cost of chaos is subtle but absolute. It steals not just your time, but your depth. You stop finishing what you start. You stop showing up fully. You stop listening when people speak because your mind is already elsewhere. You start living on delay, always one step behind your own life. Distraction becomes a habit and then a personality. You start to confuse stimulation with satisfaction, but stimulation is a drug. It numbs while it drains. It gives you the illusion of progress while pulling you further from purpose. Look at how chaos hides in your days. The endless scrolling, the constant switching between tasks, the addiction to notifications, updates, noise. You tell yourself you're managing it, but it's managing you. You check one thing, then another, then another. Your mind fragments like broken glass, sharp, scattered, reflecting 1,000 things but focusing on none. And every fragment cuts into what you could have become. You start losing years in microseconds, not in dramatic collapse, but in small, silent leaks. Every moment you lose presence, you lose power. Every time you escape boredom, you escape potential. You stop thinking deeply because you're always consuming. You stop creating because you're always reacting. You lose connection because your attention is elsewhere, even when your body isn't. You think chaos makes you busy. What it really makes you is hollow. Distraction is the death of intimacy. You can't connect with people when you're half present. You can't build love when you're checking your phone mid-conversation. You can't raise your standards if you're constantly lowering your attention. Real relationships require presence, and presence requires peace. But chaos doesn't allow peace. It thrives on interruption. It makes you impatient, irritable, restless. It robs you of depth. You don't grow roots when you live in constant motion, and it doesn't just affect your relationships with others. It erodes your relationship with yourself. You forget who you are when you stop being still long enough to hear your own thoughts. You lose intuition, that quiet inner guidance that only speaks when everything else is silent. Chaos doesn't just drown out your focus, it deafens your soul. The tragedy is that distraction feels like freedom. You think you're escaping boredom, escaping discomfort, escaping stillness. But you're not escaping. You're enslaving yourself. Every time you run from stillness, you're strengthening the chains of chaos. You're teaching your mind to need noise to feel alive. You're training your brain to mistake movement for meaning. But movement without direction isn't living, it's drifting. You can't create depth in a shallow rhythm. Every great thing, love, art, growth, mastery, requires immersion. It requires losing yourself in one thing completely. But the modern mind is allergic to immersion. It can't focus long enough to find flow. It can't stay still long enough to see truth. It's overstimulated and undernourished, full of information but starved for understanding. That's the hidden cost of chaos. You know everything, but you understand nothing. And that ignorance has a price. You start repeating cycles because you're too distracted to reflect. You keep chasing what doesn't work because you never stop long enough to see why. You repeat the same mistakes because awareness can't grow in a noisy mind. Chaos keeps you busy so you never have to be brave. Brave enough to face yourself, your habits, your truth. Because silence is where truth speaks and chaos is terrified of truth. There's a reason you feel exhausted even when you haven't done much. Mental chaos burns energy faster than effort ever could. Every time you switch tasks, your brain resets, drains, restarts. It's like trying to sprint through quicksand. Every step costs more than the last. You can't build endurance in chaos. You can only burn out. You can't build consistency in confusion. You can only collapse under distraction. Ask yourself, how many dreams have you delayed because you couldn't stay focused long enough to finish? How many goals faded because you lost momentum to noise? How many moments passed unnoticed while you were staring at something that didn't matter? Those aren't small losses. They're everything. Every dream dies the same way, not with a crash, but with quiet neglect. But here's the truth. You can recover what chaos stole if you're willing to face the silence that it hides behind. You can rebuild focus, but it requires honesty. It requires admitting that distraction isn't just an accident, it's a choice. 1,000 small choices made daily. You can reclaim your power, but you must first stop selling it for cheap stimulation. Because every time you give your focus away, you're trading diamonds for dust. The cost of chaos is not just lost time, it's lost self-respect. You can't trust yourself to follow through when your attention belongs to everything but your purpose. You start breaking small promises. 5 more minutes, 1 more scroll, one more check. But those micro betrayals add up. They destroy self-belief from the inside out. You can't build confidence when you keep abandoning your own word. Discipline begins when you start honoring your attention, when you start treating every moment as sacred ground instead of disposable time, when you stop consuming by default and start creating by decision. The world will always offer you chaos. It's easier to sell, but the focused few will always rule it, because while everyone else is distracted by noise, they're building something that lasts. The price of chaos is too high. It costs your energy, your excellence, your evolution. It steals your clarity and replaces it with confusion. It gives you speed but takes your soul. It trades your peace for pressure, your depth for dopamine. But once you see the cost, you can no longer afford to pay it. You must become ruthless with what you allow into your head. Guard your mental environment the way a king guards his kingdom. Stop inviting chaos into your mind. Turn down the volume of the world and turn up the voice within. Don't let every headline, every comment, every vibration on a screen dictate your mood. Choose calm over constant motion. Choose stillness over stimulation. Choose silence over noise. Because in the end, chaos doesn't destroy your life overnight. It erodes it slowly, thought by thought, moment by moment, until you're left wondering where your focus went and why nothing feels fulfilling anymore. But you can stop the erosion. You can choose peace. You can rebuild presence one moment at a time. You'll have to be deliberate. You'll have to detox your mind the way you detox your body, slowly, patiently, consistently. You'll have to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. You'll have to feel the stillness that chaos tried to bury. But when you do, you'll find yourself again, sharper, calmer, stronger. Because distraction doesn't just steal your time, it steals your identity. It turns you into a stranger in your own life. But the moment you reclaim your focus, you come home. The noise fades, the fog lifts, and what's left is truth. You think distraction costs minutes? It costs meaning. It costs connection. It costs peace. And if you keep paying that price, it will cost you you. Chapter 6. The Fortress Mind. Building boundaries around your focus. Power fades without protection. Focus dies without defense. You can build clarity, discipline, and presence. But if you don't guard them, the world will take them back piece by piece. The truth is, your focus is constantly under attack. Every sound, every scroll, every demand for your attention is a siege on your mind. If you want to stay sharp, you must build a fortress, not of walls that isolate you, but of principles that preserve you. You can't win a war if you keep leaving the gates open. Most people lose their focus not because they lack discipline, but because they lack defense. They let anything and anyone invade their mental space. They allow every vibration, every message, every opinion to walk straight into their consciousness. Then they wonder why they feel scattered and drained. The answer is simple. You cannot stay strong when you live without boundaries. Boundaries are not restrictions, they're reinforcements. They don't limit your freedom, they protect it. The moment you start saying no to the world, you start saying yes to your power. Guarding your focus isn't selfish, it's strategic. You're not rejecting people or opportunities. You're rejecting distraction, dilution, and disorder. Because chaos doesn't knock, it enters. And your job is to make sure the door is locked. The fortress mind begins with clarity of purpose. You cannot defend what you don't define. What are you protecting? What matters enough to earn your full attention? If you don't know, everything will seem urgent. Every request will feel important. Every notification will seem necessary. The fortress begins with a declaration. This is what I'm building, and this is what I refuse to let in. Once you know your mission, every decision becomes a question of alignment. Does this strengthen my focus or weaken it? Does this bring me closer to my purpose or pull me away? Your answers become your guardrails. That's how you build mental integrity, not by reacting to the world, but by designing how the world reaches you. The first wall of your fortress is time protection. You can't guard your mind if you don't guard your hours. Every minute you give away without intention is a crack in the wall. You must become deliberate about your day. Routines that reinforce clarity, rituals that restore energy, and non-negotiables that anchor you in discipline. Morning is your first battle. Don't start your day by letting the world in. Don't check your phone before you check your mind. Your morning sets your mental tone. Begin with silence, not stimulation. The second wall is digital discipline. Technology can be a tool or a trap. The difference lies in control. You must become the master of your devices, not the servant. Audit your digital life. Every app, every platform, every notification. Ask, does this serve my focus or does it steal it? Most of what you consume is mental junk food, designed to keep you hungry, never full. Delete what doesn't feed you. Turn off alerts that demand reaction. Schedule time to disconnect completely. The world won't collapse if you disappear for a few hours, but your focus will collapse if you don't. The third wall is environmental design. Your surroundings shape your attention. Chaos breeds chaos. Clutter breeds confusion. If your space looks distracted, your mind will follow. Clean your environment, and you clear your consciousness. Keep your workspace sacred, free from the noise of unfinished tasks and endless temptations. Let everything in your space serve a purpose. Minimalism isn't just aesthetic, it's armor. The fourth wall is energy control. Focus is not just mental, it's physical. What you eat, how you rest, how you move, all affect your clarity. A fortress mind is built on strong foundations: sleep that restores, movement that grounds, stillness that resets. When your body is weak, your attention fractures. When your energy leaks, your mind follows. The body and mind are not separate armies. They're one force. Guard them both. The fifth wall is social boundaries. Not everyone deserves access to you. Some people drain focus just by being near it. You must learn to distinguish between those who feed your discipline and those who feed your distractions. The people around you either strengthen your walls or sabotage them. You don't need to cut everyone off, but you do need to calibrate your proximity. Protect your peace from emotional chaos. Protect your energy from constant complainers. Protect your ambition from those who normalize mediocrity. Sometimes the most powerful boundary you can set is silence. You don't need to explain every number. You don't need to justify every choice. You're not obligated to be available to everyone. Availability is not virtue, it's vulnerability. The fortress mind doesn't hide from the world. It simply decides what deserves entry. But there's another layer of defense most overlook: intentional solitude. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's leadership of the self. When you spend time alone, you stop absorbing other people's frequencies. You return to your own signal. You remember your rhythm, your voice, your thoughts. The fortress mind thrives in solitude because solitude is where you sharpen awareness. You can't hear yourself in constant noise. You can't think deeply in endless dialogue. Alone time is not isolation. It's inspection. When you master solitude, the outside world loses power over you. You stop needing constant validation. You stop fearing silence. You stop seeking permission. You become complete within your walls, strong, calm, and clear. That's not arrogance. It's sovereignty. Yet no fortress is complete without gates. You can't live locked away from life. The purpose of boundaries isn't to shut the world out forever. It's to control when and how it enters. You must open the gates for what aligns with your purpose. Relationships that challenge you, work that fulfills you, art that inspires you. The difference now is that entry is earned, not automatic. You decide what gets in. Discipline enforces the walls, but awareness maintains them. Your focus must be guarded daily because distraction is relentless. It evolves. It disguises itself as opportunity, as urgency, as importance. You'll be tempted to let your guard down, to answer that message, to check that update, to just peek at what's trending. But every time you break formation, you weaken the fortress. Focus is not just built, it's defended. And that defense requires vigilance. You'll have to renew it every morning. You'll have to remind yourself every night. You'll have to be intentional with every interaction, every scroll, every yes. Because every yes to distraction is a no to destiny. Every boundary you ignore becomes a battle you'll fight later. The fortress mind doesn't react to attack. It prevents it. You'll know your walls are working when peace stops feeling like absence and starts feeling like strength. When silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling full. When people say, "You've changed," and you smile, because you have. You've become disciplined in a world that celebrates disorder. You've built protection in a world that profits from your exposure. But this protection comes with sacrifice. You will outgrow comfort. You will lose people who live in chaos. You will become unreachable to those still addicted to noise. That's the price of clarity. You can't be understood by those who've never known peace. But that's okay. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be unshakable. You'll find that focus guarded becomes freedom. You'll have more energy, more creativity, more time, not because life got easier, but because you stopped letting everything in. The fewer the leaks, the stronger the flow. The tighter the boundaries, the louder your inner voice becomes. You'll stop reacting to the world and start directing it. A fortress isn't a prison, it's a position. It's where you stand strong while others fall apart. It's the structure that allows your purpose to grow without interruption. You don't build it to hide, you build it to lead, to operate from stability while the world spins in confusion. That's what makes you powerful. Not that you can block noise, but that you no longer depend on it. Guard your focus like it's gold, because it is. It's the rarest treasure in the modern world, and everyone is trying to take it. Protect it with discipline, defend it with structure, and live inside it with purpose. Because the fortress mind is not a fantasy, it's the foundation of mastery. And when your mind becomes a fortress, nothing can invade your peace again. Chapter 7, Flow and Frequency, How Consistency Creates Mastery. There comes a moment when focus transforms from force into flow. At first, discipline feels heavy. It's structure, it's struggle, it's resistance against the pull of comfort. But if you stay with it long enough, something shifts. The tension fades. Effort becomes rhythm. The grind becomes grace. You stop forcing the process and the process starts carrying you. That's the birth of flow, the frequency where consistency becomes effortless power. Flow isn't magic. It's mastery meeting momentum. It's what happens when your mind, body, and spirit move in unison toward one purpose. It's not something you chase. It's something you earn through repetition, through presence, through unwavering devotion to the craft of focus. Most people never find it because they quit before the rhythm forms. They confuse boredom for burnout, resistance for misdirection. But the truth is simple. Greatness begins where repetition begins to feel sacred. Consistency is the bridge between focus and flow. Without it, even the strongest intention fades into impulse. You can't touch mastery if you keep starting over. Momentum isn't built in bursts, it's built in cycles. Every day you show up, you teach your mind a new rhythm. Every time you keep going when motivation dies, you lay another stone in the path to flow. Routine isn't a prison, it's a frequency tuner. It aligns you with progress. Think of a musician tuning an instrument. At first, the sound is rough. Notes clash. Rhythm breaks. But with time and patience, the tones begin to align. That's what consistency does to your life. It aligns the scattered parts of you until everything starts playing the same song. It synchronizes effort and energy, logic and instinct. What once felt chaotic starts to hum with harmony. Flow happens when repetition rewires resistance, when the brain no longer treats the task as a threat, but as a familiar path. The neurons fire faster, the body relaxes, awareness sharpens. You move from conscious effort to subconscious excellence. That's why the masters make it look easy. It's not easy. It's integrated. They've repeated the same actions so often that the mind and body no longer fight each other. Effort disappears because alignment takes over. But reaching that level takes more than routine. It takes faith. Faith in the invisible process. Faith that what feels slow now will one day feel unstoppable. Because consistency is boring before it becomes beautiful. It's lonely before it becomes powerful. It's repetitive before it becomes rhythmic. Most people can't handle that phase. They crave the high of change, the thrill of novelty. But mastery lives in monotony. The difference between amateurs and masters isn't talent, it's tolerance. Masters tolerate boredom. They train when it's inconvenient. They show up when it's silent. They repeat when no one is watching. They understand that every repetition is a conversation with excellence. Every small action is a signal to the mind. This matters. And what you declare to matter repeatedly eventually becomes identity. Consistency doesn't just build habits, it builds belief. Each day you follow through, you prove to yourself that you are who you say you are. You turn discipline into DNA. You become reliable to yourself. That's why flow feels so free, because there's no longer resistance between who you are and what you do. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop questioning your commitment. You just move. But consistency requires protection. It needs a container, a routine that holds you accountable when your emotions don't. You can't rely on feeling ready. Readiness is unreliable. The professional doesn't wait for inspiration. They create conditions for it to arrive. They build rituals, anchors that trigger action even when willpower fades. That's how you create flow, not by waiting for it, but by designing for it. Morning rituals, deep work blocks, digital fasts, scheduled solitude. These are not trends, they're triggers. Each one signals the mind. It's time to enter the zone. Over time, your brain associates these cues with creation. You no longer fight to start, your system simply moves. That's the architecture of flow, predictable rhythm replacing emotional chaos. Flow is the reward for those who stay. Stay through the resistance, stay through the doubt, stay through the silence where results haven't shown up yet. Because consistency compounds in ways you can't see. The work you do today might not bear fruit tomorrow, but it's strengthening your roots. And strong roots don't grow fast. They grow deep. When you move with consistency, you stop chasing outcomes and start building inevitability. It's not luck when it happens, it's accumulation. The hours you invested in silence, the repetitions that felt useless, the moments you stayed when no one cared, they build up, unseen, until one day everything aligns. You move effortlessly. You think clearly. You act without hesitation. People call it talent, but you know the truth. It's time, layered with discipline, solidified through faith. The brain loves rhythm. It finds safety in patterns. That's why flow feels peaceful. It's the mind recognizing its own harmony. You can create that harmony by staying consistent in your energy and environment. Wake, work, rest, repeat, not as a prison, but as poetry. Because when you remove chaos, you make room for cadence. And in that cadence, brilliance is born. But flow is fragile. It can't coexist with chaos. You must guard your consistency from disruption. Protect your rituals like sacred ceremonies. Don't let the world's urgency rewrite your rhythm. When people demand your time, remember, they're not stealing your minutes. They're breaking your frequency. Protect your rhythm the way a musician protects their tempo. One missed beat can throw off the whole song. You will fall out of rhythm sometimes. You'll miss a day, break a promise, lose momentum. That's okay. Flow isn't perfection, it's return. The same discipline that builds it, rebuilds it. The faster you return, the stronger your rhythm becomes. Consistency isn't about never falling, it's about never staying down. You learn to recover faster, refocus quicker, re-enter flow sooner. That's what separates mastery from mediocrity. Not the absence of mistakes, but the speed of correction. There's a peace that comes with long-term rhythm. You stop rushing, you stop comparing. You realize that mastery isn't a finish line, it's a frequency. And once you lock into that frequency, life begins to move with you. Opportunities flow toward you, not because you chase them, but because consistency made you visible. The world rewards rhythm. It trusts those who show up. Flow is not just about work, it's about being aligned with life itself. When you live in rhythm, even challenges feel like choreography. Setbacks become part of the dance. You stop resisting and start responding. You find grace in the grind. You move with time, not against it. You learn that momentum isn't speed, it's stability. And when you reach that state, you'll feel something rare, a deep stillness beneath motion. You'll realize that mastery isn't loud, it's calm. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that you can rely on yourself completely. You no longer need to hype yourself up to act. You just act. You no longer need to force motivation. You've built momentum. Focus long enough and you stop chasing momentum. You become it. You become the rhythm others can't break, the consistency others can't match, the calm within chaos, the steady frequency that turns effort into ease, repetition into art, time into transformation. Flow is not found, it's built through patience, through practice, through presence. You build it every day you return to the work. Every day you stay loyal to your routine. Every day you honor the rhythm over the result. That's the beauty of flow. It's both science and soul. The brain synchronizes, the spirit aligns, and for once, everything moves as one. That's mastery, not perfection, but harmony. Stay consistent long enough, and one day you'll realize something powerful. You don't need to force life anymore. You've become fluent in it. You don't need to chase greatness. You've become its rhythm. Chapter 8. The Inner Noise. Winning the Mental War. You've silenced the world around you. You've built walls against distraction. You've learned to guard your time and protect your focus. But now the real war begins, the one that takes place inside your own mind. Because even when the room is quiet, the noise doesn't stop. It just changes form. It's no longer the pings, alerts, and interruptions of the outside world. It's the endless dialogue in your head, the self-doubt, the worry, the overthinking, the war within. Your greatest battle will never be with others. It will always be with yourself. You can block the world, but you can't block your thoughts. They follow you everywhere. They echo in silence. They whisper when you're still. And unless you learn to master that inner conversation, you'll never truly be free. Because the loudest distractions are the ones you can't turn off. The mind is both your weapon and your weakness. It can build empires or burn them down. The same thoughts that create brilliance can also create paralysis. One moment you're inspired, the next you're drowning in doubt. You rehearse mistakes, replay conversations, predict failures that haven't even happened. You become trapped in loops of what if, chained by fear, suffocated by your own imagination. You think the world is attacking you, but often it's your own thoughts holding the blade. The inner noise is cunning. It doesn't shout, it seeps. It hides inside logic, pretending to protect you. Be careful. Don't risk it. You're not ready yet. It sounds like reason, but it's really resistance. It's the ego's way of keeping you safe. Safe from discomfort, safe from change, safe from growth. But safety and stagnation are the same thing when it comes to your potential. Comfort kills more dreams than failure ever could. To win the mental war, you must first understand the enemy. Your mind is not your enemy, but it is undisciplined. It was built to survive, not to succeed. It's wired to notice danger, not opportunity. It's designed to conserve energy, not to create greatness. So if you live by default, your mind will always pull you toward ease. It will always find reasons to stop, to rest, to delay. The war within begins with awareness, to notice that not every thought deserves belief. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. That separation is where power begins. The moment you stop identifying with every passing emotion, you gain control. The goal isn't to stop thinking. That's impossible. The goal is to stop obeying, to observe without reacting, to let thoughts come and go like waves without drowning in them. That's mental mastery, the ability to remain calm even while chaos moves through your head. Silence isn't the absence of thought. It's the mastery of thought. It's being able to choose which voices deserve your attention. It's understanding that most of what you think isn't truth. It's programming, conditioned fears, borrowed opinions, recycled doubts. You can't build a powerful life with a polluted mind. You have to clean it daily. That's why reflection, journaling, meditation, whatever form of stillness you choose, isn't optional. It's maintenance. Stillness doesn't mean idleness. It's active awareness. It's the act of standing in the middle of your thoughts and deciding which ones live and which ones leave. When doubt appears, you acknowledge it, but you don't worship it. When fear arises, you feel it, but you don't feed it. You learn to become the commander of your consciousness. That's what separates the disciplined from the distracted. The ability to direct thought, not drown in it. But control doesn't come overnight. The mind resists silence because silence exposes truth. When you sit in stillness, everything you've avoided starts speaking. Old pain, hidden insecurities, forgotten failures. That's why people avoid quiet. It's not boredom they fear, it's confrontation. But if you never confront, you can never conquer. The only way to end the war is to walk into it. You must learn to catch your thoughts in motion. The spiral begins small, a doubt, a delay, a what if. Left unchecked, it grows. One fearful thought becomes a story. One hesitation becomes a habit. You must interrupt the pattern before it consumes you. The next time your mind starts to spiral, stop and ask, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, cut it off. You don't negotiate with mental sabotage. You replace it with direction. Mental silence doesn't mean suppression. It means substitution. You replace overthinking with observation. You replace fear with focus. You replace doubt with direction. When your mind begins to wander, you pull it back, not with anger, but with discipline. We're here now. This is what matters. You treat your thoughts the way a leader treats soldiers, with authority and compassion. You don't punish them, but you don't let them roam wild either. The mind will always produce noise. It's what it does. But mastery lies in your response. The more you resist the noise, the louder it gets. The more you observe it, the quieter it becomes. You can't fight thoughts with force. You calm them with awareness. Just like muddy water clears when left undisturbed, your mind clears when you stop stirring it. Let it settle. The clarity will come. Overthinking is the mind's attempt to control what's uncertain. It's fear disguised as logic. You analyze, you predict, you imagine. But the truth is, you're just avoiding action. You're trying to think your way out of what only movement can fix. Thought without execution becomes poison. You can't outthink fear. You can only outmove it. Action silences anxiety. Every time you act despite uncertainty, the noise loses its power. Winning the mental war is about building rituals that restore mental order. Daily silence, controlled breathing, written reflection. Each act builds mental muscle. Each repetition teaches your brain that you are in command. The more you practice control and peace, the more control you'll have under pressure. Calm is not born in chaos. It's trained in quiet. Mental mastery is not about eliminating emotion. It's about regulating it. It's about recognizing when your mind is lying to you, when fear is pretending to be logic, when doubt is disguising itself as humility. It's seeing the storm without stepping into it. The world outside may be loud, but your inner world doesn't have to be. The warrior who wins is not the one who fights hardest. It's the one who stays calm while everyone else loses their mind. Your thoughts will always try to pull you back to old habits, old fears, old stories. But you don't live there anymore. You've built too much strength to surrender to the same noise that once ruled you. You've outgrown panic. You've outgrown chaos. You've learned that peace is not weakness, it's strategy. Calm minds see what frantic minds miss, and clarity is power. Every time you choose silence over reaction, focus over fear, presence over panic, you win. You strengthen the signal and weaken the static. You train your mind to serve you, not sabotage you. And one day, without realizing it, you'll notice the noise has changed. The doubts are quieter. The fear feels smaller. The voice in your head doesn't attack anymore. It advises. It becomes your ally, not your enemy. Because the goal isn't to destroy the mind. It's to direct it, to turn the same energy that once scattered you into energy that strengthens you, to channel the same thoughts that once broke you into thoughts that build you. That's what mastery is. Not silence of thought, but sovereignty over it. The mind you master becomes your fortress. The mind you ignore becomes your prison. You can't focus outward until you quiet the war within. So stop fighting your thoughts and start leading them. Stop fearing the noise and start tuning it. Because when you win the mental war, the world outside loses its power. You become untouchable, not because there's no chaos, but because it no longer controls you. And that is the quietest kind of strength. Chapter 9. The Art of Deep Work. Turning Time into Power. There's a level of focus so deep that the world disappears. The noise fades. The clock stops mattering. Hours pass, but it feels like minutes. In that state, you don't chase time. You command it. You don't count the minutes. You shape them. That is the art of deep work, the rare ability to sink so completely into creation that time bends around your attention. Most people will never touch that state. They live at the surface, half working, half watching, half living. They mistake motion for momentum. They bounce between tasks, constantly reacting, rarely creating. Their work is fragmented, their results diluted. But the few who master deep work move differently. They move with depth. They produce in hours what others can't in weeks, because their attention is undivided. And undivided attention is the closest thing we have to magic. Deep work is the discipline of immersion. It's the practice of giving one thing your entire mind. No interruptions, no divided focus, no multitasking masquerading as efficiency. It's not just about working longer, it's about working with presence so intense that it transforms the quality of what you produce. The mind sharpens in silence. Thought becomes art. Execution becomes flow. When you work deeply, you enter a different frequency. It's not about productivity, it's about power. You stop operating as a distracted participant in your own life and start operating as a creator. Deep work isn't glamorous, it's gritty. It demands solitude, patience, and resistance to temptation. But it's in that solitude that genius is forged. Every great mind, Einstein, Da Vinci, Mozart, Jobs, live by the same principle. Focus, solitude births brilliance. You cannot create anything meaningful in fragments. You cannot build excellence between interruptions. The mind needs immersion to reach insight. Think of your attention like a diver. Shallow dives yield surface-level discovery. Deep dives uncover treasure. But you can't dive deep if you keep resurfacing for air every few seconds. Each distraction pulls you back to the surface, forcing your mind to start again. You lose rhythm, you lose connection, you lose power. Deep work is the rebellion against that constant resurfacing. It's a conscious retreat into focus. You build conditions where nothing can interrupt your momentum. You silence devices, close doors, and train your environment to serve your mind, not sabotage it. You schedule your deep work hours like sacred rituals. You enter them with respect and leave them with results. But deep work is not just environmental, it's psychological. It requires training your brain to withstand boredom, to resist the urge for novelty. You must learn to sit in the silence between ideas without reaching for stimulation. Because the deeper you go, the more your mind will fight back. It will try to escape into comfort, into distraction, into the easy dopamine of interruption. Your job is to stay. Stay in the discomfort long enough for depth to appear. That's the paradox. The first minutes of deep work feel like resistance, but the breakthrough lives beyond it. It's like running through fog. You don't see clearly until you've passed through it. Most people quit in the fog. The masters keep running until the air clears. And once it does, they find themselves in a state of flow where every thought aligns, every action feels inevitable. That's not luck, it's endurance. To reach that level, you need systems that protect your attention. Choose specific hours for deep work. Eliminate notifications. Use rituals to signal your brain that it's time to descend into focus. Maybe it's a certain playlist, a cup of black coffee, a closed door, or a blank page. Repetition trains recognition. When your brain knows it's time to go deep, resistance fades faster. There's a purity to deep work. It reintroduces you to your own potential. You realize how much you're capable of when you stop scattering your attention. A single hour of true focus can outproduce an entire day of half work. That's because deep work doesn't just use your time, it multiplies it. You compress learning, accelerate skill, and amplify creativity. When you work deeply, you move at the speed of intention, not distraction. And this depth builds not just results, but reputation. People who master deep work rise because they can produce what others only plan. They move quietly, but their output speaks loudly. In a world addicted to visibility, depth becomes your advantage. While others post progress, you build mastery. While others chase attention, you build legacy. Because legacy is not built on activity, it's built on excellence. There's a sacred rhythm in deep work. Prepare, enter, immerse, emerge. You prepare by clearing your environment and your mind. You enter with a clear objective, one target, one task. You immerse completely. No glancing, no switching, no escape. You emerge with something real, progress, clarity, creation. That cycle, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable momentum. But beware, deep work demands recovery. Just as muscles need rest between sets, the mind needs stillness between sprints. True productivity is not constant grind. It's rhythm, deep work, deep rest, deep living. You can't sustain intensity without recovery. The breaks between sessions aren't wasted. They're the space where insight brews. Creativity often arrives not in the work, but in the stillness that follows. Deep work also demands courage, the courage to disconnect. The modern world rewards availability, not excellence. It celebrates the busy, not the brilliant, but mastery requires the opposite. You have to become unreachable for stretches of time. You have to disappear from the noise to reappear with something that matters. Every time you log out of distraction, you log into creation. The deeper you go, the more you'll notice a shift, not just in your work, but in your being. Deep work doesn't just build output, it builds character. It teaches patience, humility, and endurance. You learn that success isn't speed, it's depth. You start valuing less what's fast and more what's meaningful. You stop needing applause for every effort because you've found fulfillment in the process itself. Deep work also reshapes your relationship with time. You stop racing against it. You start collaborating with it. You realize that time is not your enemy. It's your amplifier. Every focused hour becomes an investment that compounds. You stop chasing more hours and start extracting power from the ones you already have. You learn that mastery isn't about doing everything. It's about doing one thing with total presence. That's what every legend has in common, not busyness, but depth. Da Vinci could spend weeks on a single brushstroke. Kobe Bryant shot thousands of free throws alone in an empty gym. Writers, scientists, inventors, every one of them disappeared into their craft. They understood the timeless law of excellence. Immersion precedes impact. When you work deeply, you enter time differently. Hours stretch. Ideas connect faster. Obstacles feel smaller. The world outside moves slower while you move faster within it. You no longer chase results. They emerge naturally as a byproduct of immersion. That's what time bending really means. Your perception changes because you've entered pure flow. The art of deep work is not just professional, it's spiritual. It's a practice of self-alignment. It's the merging of purpose, presence, and power. It's meditation in motion. When you lose yourself in focus, you find yourself in purpose. You stop escaping life and start expressing it. You realize that deep work is not just how you build things, it's how you become someone. This is where effort becomes legacy, because what you create in deep focus endures. The world forgets speed but remembers depth. Shallow effort fades quickly. Deep creation lasts forever. Every hour spent deeply engaged in your craft is a deposit into eternity, a mark that doesn't erode with time. So build the habit, honor the ritual, protect the depth. Make your work sacred again. Don't waste your life at the surface when the treasure lies below. Train yourself to go deep, not occasionally but consistently, because when you work deeply, time bends for you. And those who bend time rule it. Closing chapter, The Golden Mind, Living a Focused Life. You've come a long way, from chaos to clarity, from noise to silence, from distraction to discipline. You began this journey scattered, torn between 1,000 impulses pulling you in every direction. But now you stand still, centered, calm, complete. What once felt like a war has become a rhythm. What once felt heavy has become holy. Focus is no longer something you practice. It's something you are. The world around you hasn't changed. It's still loud, restless, and demanding. But you have changed. You've built stillness in a place where few can. You've learned to move slowly when others rush blindly. You've learned that clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from choosing less. You've learned that silence isn't absence, it's authority. You've built something unshakable inside you, something no one can steal. This is the golden mind, the rare state where focus becomes freedom. It's not about effort anymore. It's about energy aligned. You don't chase control, you embody it. You don't fight distraction, you simply don't feed it. You've moved from force to flow, from guarding focus to radiating it. You're no longer reacting to the world now reacts to you. The golden mind isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't crave attention. It just moves, steady, precise, intentional. You can walk through chaos now and remain untouched. You can stand in storms without losing balance. You can hold stillness in your body and fire in your spirit at the same time. That is mastery, to be both calm and powerful, both grounded and unstoppable. You've discovered the truth. Focus was never about isolation. It was about elevation. It wasn't about cutting the world off, but about seeing it clearly. You no longer drown in every demand because you've learned to choose, and choice is freedom. You no longer measure life by how much you do, but by how deeply you live. That's the real reward, not productivity, but presence. Not achievement, but awareness. In the golden mind, time bends for you again, but differently now. You're not bending it through deep work or discipline. You're bending it through peace. Because when you're focused, you stop wasting time on regret. You stop losing energy to worry. You stop chasing what doesn't serve you. You live fully in every moment, and in that fullness, time expands. Every second becomes sacred. Every breath becomes deliberate. The noise of the world still exists, but you hear it differently now. It no longer provokes you. It just passes through you, like wind through a mountain. You no longer crave validation. You no longer rush to respond. You've learned that power isn't loud. It's quiet. You've learned that real control isn't in dominating others. It's in mastering yourself. That's what it means to live a focused life. To live by choice, not by chance. To give attention only to what aligns with your mission. To protect your peace as fiercely as you pursue your purpose. You don't say yes to everything anymore. You say yes only to what matters. And that's what makes everything you touch meaningful. The golden mind doesn't chase balance. It is balance. It's where ambition and peace coexist. You can push hard without breaking. You can rest deeply without guilt. You've found rhythm, the rare alignment between drive and discipline, between purpose and patience. You're not consumed by the chase anymore. You move from conviction, not compulsion, from vision, not validation. There's a stillness in you now that others will feel. They'll sense your focus before you speak. They'll wonder how you remain calm while they collapse under noise. They'll call it confidence, but it's not. It's clarity. And clarity, once earned, becomes contagious. You'll inspire not by preaching discipline, but by embodying it. You'll lead not by shouting, but by standing still. But the golden mind is not a destination, it's a devotion. You'll have to maintain it, protect it, guard it from erosion. The world will always try to pull you back into chaos. Distraction never dies. It just disguises itself. It will come to you again and again, through comfort, through noise, through the illusion of just this once. But now you know the truth. You can see the game. You've built the walls. You've fortified the gates. You know how to return to stillness when the world gets loud. And every time you return, you strengthen the fortress. Every time you choose presence over panic, focus over frenzy, silence over noise, you polish the gold in your mind. You refine it. You make it shine brighter. The more you protect it, the more valuable it becomes. You no longer live for distraction. You live from direction. You no longer chase peace. You carry it. You no longer wait for the perfect time. You create it through attention. That's the essence of a focused life. Deliberate, disciplined, divine. Every action aligned, every thought intentional, every moment sacred. You are untouchable now, not because life won't test you, but because nothing outside you controls you anymore. You've become the calm in the storm, the signal in the static, the gold in the noise. You've turned your focus into a force that cannot be shaken, manipulated, or stolen. The world will keep spinning faster. The noise will grow louder, but you will remain unmoved, anchored, aware, awake. Because your focus is no longer fragile. It's forged. It's become who you are. You began this journey trying to protect your focus. Now your focus protects you. It guards your energy, your peace, your purpose. It shields you from distraction and pulls you toward destiny. You've become what the modern world fears most, a human being who cannot be controlled by noise. That is the golden mind, the mind of mastery, the mind that moves slow, sees far, and acts with precision. The mind that no longer reacts to life but designs it. The mind that turns attention into power, focus into freedom, and silence into strength. So remember this and carry it with you like a vow. Protect your focus like it's gold, because once it's gone, so are you. Emotional arc summary. The journey begins in distraction, a life fractured by noise, dependency, and mental clutter. The listener stands at the mercy of a world that profits from their attention, where focus is stolen and peace feels impossible. Chaos rules the early chapters. The mind is scattered, restless, addicted to stimulation. Every moment feels reactive, every thought borrowed. It's the modern condition, movement without meaning, noise without depth. But awareness awakens. Slowly, the fog begins to clear. The listener starts to see how distraction isn't harmless. It's theft. Through elimination and discipline, they begin to cut through the noise, stripping away what's unnecessary. The journey turns inward. Focus shifts from external control to internal command. The listener learns that silence is not emptiness, it's power. That solitude is not loneliness, it's clarity. As the transformation deepens, pain becomes teacher and stillness becomes strength. Chaos gives way to calm. The scattered energy that once fueled confusion now fuels creation. Effort becomes rhythm, and rhythm becomes flow. The listener learns to live with precision, to move deliberately, think clearly, and act meaningfully. The noise outside still exists, but it no longer controls them. The battle for focus turns into a practice of peace. By the end, the metamorphosis is complete. The listener emerges quiet yet commanding, no longer chasing calm, but embodying it. Their attention is wealth, their peace is armor. They've transcended distraction, mastering not just focus, but themselves. This is the evolution from noise to mastery, from chaos to control, from scattered mind to sovereign will. A life where focus is wealth, a life where peace is power,